Hey Graham, it's Guys. Is lawnmower flipping still profitable in 2024? Let's find out. So just the other day, I picked up this lawnmower for free $99 from a buddy of mine. You can get these for free all day if you know who to talk to, but just for gits and shiggles, let's say I got it for 15 bucks and let's add it to the total cost counter. Now let's take our old crusty mower and our AutoZone toolkit and get to diagnosing what's wrong with this thing. First step, let's start it up. Or at least attempt to. That tells me we've got some fuel delivery or some air delivery issues, which is gonna have to do with our carburetor. That's the exhaust. I'll show you what the carburetor is. So behind your air filter is your carburetor. I'll show you closer in a little bit, but basically the job of this is to mix your fuel and your air so that way it sucks it into the piston and creates combustion. When your engine is running rough, on a lawnmower specifically, 99% of the time, it has to do with this thing right here. When they sit for a while, they get clogged and gross. Typically happens over winter, so let's go ahead and clean this out, possibly buy a new carburetor and see where that gets us. Here's our air filter. Not in the best, not in the worst condition. I'll use an air hose and spray it off. You could buy an air can if you don't have an air compressor, but not the worst thing I've seen. That's oil right there. That can mean a few things. We'll dig a little further. So that gasket right there, see how it's just peeling off and it was already broken? That's a sign of a new gasket that we're gonna need. So that could be a potential vacuum leak causing it to run bad. So we're gonna go ahead and make a new gasket and add that to our list of parts. Next up, I'm gonna detach the gasoline hose, make sure to crimp it off so it doesn't have any leakage. And we're gonna go ahead and pull the carburetor off and take a deeper look at it by undoing the bolt. So as I was getting ready to pull off the fuel line, I noticed there was a little leak under the tank. So instead I'm just gonna pull the entire tank off so that way we can replace that hose. I have some spares laying around. If you don't, that's really cheap for a roll. I'm gonna add like $3 to the cost counter up in the corner. So where it should be at like 18 bucks total. And just like that, our tank is off. So we can see that this spring was obviously put on by the old owner because that is not something from the factory. The reason they did it was clearly because this piece of the throttle broke off and they tried to super glue it and that didn't really work too well. So we're now gonna definitely have to replace the carburetor. So I'm just gonna fully take it off and go see what I can find. Pro tip, place all of your pieces together with their corresponding bolts so that way things can stay more organized. It helps the process 100% and takes little to no time to do. And there goes our carburetor. Sweet. The last thing we need to look at here before going and sourcing our parts is the spark plug. You can use a deep socket or a wrench to pull this out. Most of you will have a wrench or at least an adjustable one you can pull it with. I'm gonna pull it out and take a look at it. And most of the time it will be good. I have a feeling it's good on this one, but it's not a bad thing to check anyway. Well, that came out rather easy. So in order to test our spark plug, I put it back into the coil and I'm gonna go ahead and ground it out to the side of the engine here. And we're gonna look really closely and see if there's a spark. If there is, we're good. I'll do this by, turning over the engine. I would definitely call that good. So let's put the spark plug back, put the coil on, and figure out our fuel and air issue. Welcome to my beautiful carburetor workshop, AKA the counter and a towel, where I'm going to take apart the carburetor. So typically during this step, I would just go and buy a new carburetor because this is not gonna work. This glue on here by the old owner is not viable. However, I have a carburetor box because I do this quite often. It's full of carburetors. And I actually found a carburetor that I think I can use the throttle flap on here. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna undo this and find a way to pull it off. And I'm gonna try to attempt to put it in here so we don't have to go buy a whole new carburetor when this one could potentially work. So we're gonna go try and figure that out right now and I'll get back to you guys. Looks like there's fresh gas in there to a decent degree and it's not like corroded, so that's really good. So I'm gonna use an air hose and spray out the jets after I figure out if I can replace this or not. Because if I can't, then there's no point. So while this might not be the best option, it's definitely the quickest. This does not fit in here like I was hoping it would. So we have to reuse this stick right here. And instead of taking this off because, it fits and holds the throttle from going too much or too little. I am going to cut off the top of this and this little nub, and then use super glue all over the top and then put this on, so that it has a much stronger grip and that won't come off, and then I can use it. So I'm gonna do that really quick and then get back to you guys. Okay, so this did not come out bad. The hole right here is exactly where it should be for the throttle. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry while I clean out the rest of the carburetor, and then we'll go ahead and put it back on the lawnmower and see what's new. And then a good way to test to see if your jets are clean is put a flashlight through the inside and see it straight through. Let's get this thing off of here. I'm also gonna add a fuel filter in here. I'm gonna need some tighter hose clamps. Okay, well, I found some hose clamps and I just put these on. They work great. I have another one that I'm gonna put on the end to the carburetor. Our piece should be dry now, so I'm gonna go get it, and we should be able to throw this thing back together and see if we fixed all of our issues or most of our issues or whatever. So I'm excited, let's go do that. Just like new. Works great. Happy with it. Now we just cut out this faint outline here. It ain't pretty, but it's gonna do. So I'm gonna put that right there when I put the air filter on. But I'm gonna go ahead and hook up the gas first, make sure that's good to go, put on our hose clamp to right here, and then we're just gonna see what happens. Lo and behold, the mower is done. I went through and I wiped it down after I put the shrouds back on. Our job ended up working. It started up and it ran, and that's all we need really. So, you know, we're probably like 3 hours into this, and we're essentially, for me, I'm $0 in, but for the video, you know, we're like $20 in, I believe is what we're at, or something close. So, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and take some pictures of this thing. We're gonna post it and just see how fast it sells. Granted, it's springtime right now, so it probably won't be too long. Not bad. I had a lot of fun doing it. Obviously, you need to know how to work on engines and how to work on carburetors to a degree, but it's not hard to figure out. It's not a bad thing to learn either. It's a good skill to have, so. Well, this is my update a few days later. I ended up having somebody come by and they picked up the mower for 50 bucks. I'm not complaining, it's 50 bucks for me. I mean, if you bought all the parts, you'd be at like, what, 30 bucks profit for an hour and a half max of work. So, you know, it's not a bad hustle. If you do that 3 or 4 times a day, or, you know, whatever, during the springtime, you can make some good money, and you'd learn a lot about engines, which would, you know, probably be good for your entire life anyway. So that's, I guess, how you would do that hustle. If you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and subscribe down below. I'm gonna be trying to make more content and just build up my name as we go. So thank you for watching. Bye.